the media festivities, the convention center, and it seems to get bigger and better. The footprint gets bigger and better every single year. It's fun.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. With us being from the Midwest, we're getting used to seeing the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for a while now, and now on the verge of a potential historic moment, trying to get that number 3 in a row, which would be the first time in NFL history for a team to do that. Of course, everyone's talking about it, Chiefs fatigue, getting tired of seeing the Kansas City Chiefs. But I've also heard a lot this week admiring greatness. I have a feeling that's probably maybe where you stand on the whole situation.
You know, if I got to be here, I want to see some history. But I think we need to educate the younger fans a little bit. Yes, it would be the first three-peat in Super Bowl history. But before there was a Super Bowl, the NFL was still in business, and I think people forget, because I wasn't sure either. I looked it up. The Packers won 3 consecutive NFL championships twice. But the Super Bowl era, and that's all the young people know, of course. And so I'm all about seeing history, and I respect greatness. I want to be able to, obviously my kids will know about it now, but I want to be able to tell my grandkids that I was in the building. For example, I was in the building when Tom Brady and the Pats came back from 28-3 against the Falcons. That's an all-time sporting event, And so I'd like to be able to tell them I was in the building. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, won 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Just near impossible. Salary cap, injuries, luck, coin flips, bad calls. I don't get any of those, but I meant for other teams. It's hard to do what they're doing.
You brought it up, all right?
Yeah,
You're the one who did. You're the one who
go.
brought it up, the officiating. Everyone thinks that, by golly, this is rigged. Of course, you can look at stats to prove one side or the other. You have the overarching, look at the amount of penalty yards, and then you have those saying, well, look at the penalties that happen at a particular moment that would sway things in favor of the Chiefs compared to the opponent that they are facing. When I look back at the Buffalo Bills game, though, I'm looking at that game, watching the Bills fumble the ball 4 times and falling on it 4 times. And at that moment, I'm thinking, if they're not going to lose a single possession here, the Chiefs are toast. They're not going to find a way to win this thing. And, of course, you get Josh Allen. Was he past the line? Was he not past the line? Dalton Kincaid drops the ball, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So you brought up the officiating. So let's talk about the officiating. What is your opinion on the officiating that seems to be helping out the Kansas City Chiefs in the eyes of so many people?
I think it's fortunate. I think it's clean living, By no means do I think Roger Goodell is calling anybody up or a text message or anybody from the league office. I do not subscribe to the Taylor Swift effect. Now, I'm not saying it's not good for the NFL to have the Chiefs here because of everything she brings. That's a positive. But I don't believe any calls are going in their favor because of it. It just, when it's so long, people do pick at greatness and they're looking for something else. And listen, some of it is brilliant play, and when you're brilliant, you make your own good luck. So I think that's a factor. The NFL's nightmare, though, is in this Super Bowl, a late call to go Kansas City's way. I want to keep the officiating out of it, right? Let's not have that be a talking point. And if a controversial call goes Philadelphia's way, it still won't be a talking point. It's only if it goes in favor of Kansas City. But I really hope we never get to that. Nobody wants to talk about the officials. Now, they are human beings, right? And they've got families, and they're reading and they hear anything. So it's got to play into their mind. Do I throw that flag? Was Patrick really hit that hard? Was he on his way out of bounds? Was his foot about to hit the chalk? So that's got to be a factor. It's got to be in their heads because everybody's talking about it now. So we'll see. I just hope it doesn't come down to that.
Yeah, if it does, there'll be a lot of people talking about it. But this is also the Patriots' treatment in some ways, right? When
Absolutely.
you are the next dynasty, you kind of are in that same category with the New England Patriots. You have some rules that change. You're going to see more rule changes coming up at the end of this season because of what took place in that game, in the AFC Championship game where the Buffalo Bills fell a little bit shy. So just goes to show you kind of where the Chiefs are. Are you maybe stunned? Maybe stunned's not the right word. But the Patriots are so dominant. Are you maybe amazed that we have a dynasty this soon after Tom Brady retired not too long ago?
Yes, and I think some of the, I don't want to take anything away from the Patriots.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a weak division for a long time, and that is the easiest path to the playoffs, extra home game. You get all those extra wins, theoretically, 6 in your division. I feel like the Pats went 6-0 in their division all those years, so you immediately have that head start. But listen, I think, so I've always been of the mind that coaching is overrated. Now, hear me out here a second. Not in football, and not unimportant. I just think it's overrated, except in football. And so I think Andy Reid has that advantage. Spags just has that advantage. Plus he plays in other people's minds too. Some of it's the mind game. And then when you get once in a lifetime talent like Patrick Mahomes and everything, when you combine that, and the defense is great too. Like the defense doesn't get as much love. That's another thing that the two defensive coordinators people love talking about, Spags and Vic Fangio. So that's another battle inside the battle. So people got tired of the Yankees dynasty, the Celtics, and they're winning all the titles in a row. Enough of the Lakers, this and that. Like, it comes with greatness, and you earn that.
What does a Super Bowl win on Sunday do for Patrick Mahomes and maybe just the Chiefs in general? Maybe even Andy Reid for that matter, too. Let's throw him into the mix because we know who the GOATs are, right? Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, the Patriots. But if you win this one and if you do make that history, although you brought up some different instances, if they get this job done on Sunday, what does that do for Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs in general?
We just did this on SportsCenter last night. I asked Louis Riddick the same thing. What does it mean? And Riddick was ready to put him in the Brady department, the category of which there are 2, right? There would be 2 then. And I thought Louis made a good point. You don't have to play 20 years. If you can have this kind of dominance in 12 years, 10's got to be the measuring stick. You got to do it for 10, but you don't have to be you don't have to do it for 20. And Mahomes, the dominance in this short period, the greatness, the way he's leading in the fourth quarter, I think it puts him right there. And Lewis added, he's already the most talented quarterback to ever play the position, that's quite a statement too. But Brady's got all the hardware, and so let's see where this goes. But Andy Reid was probably already on a Mount Rushmore. I don't know, Shula, Belichick, Lombardi. Reid's got to be there, I think. So, and he's had success in a couple of places too now, and so it's fun, and that's a reason to be here too. And I think there was some fatigue nationally with the Chiefs, but when you get through that, when you cut through the fatigue, you see the greatness we're witnessing, and again, it goes back to being able to tell our grandkids about it.
Let's focus on Philly now.
Yeah,
because if Kansas City wasn't in this position, when would we be talking about Jalen Hurts being back here in the Super Bowl? Because I feel like that is something that no one's talking about because it's Saquon. It's Saquon's offensive line, it's the defense. Oh, and then there's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on him because you look at Patrick Mahomes, not really, I guess it can be a legacy game, but for Jalen, this is definitely a legacy game for him. If he dethrones the Kansas City Chiefs, if he specifically goes out there and makes a couple dimes and he impacts the game the way that he could impact the game, boy, I think we'd be looking at this Philadelphia Eagles team, especially Jalen Hurts, and be like, hey, he's a talented quarterback too.
Yes.
Now, I know you look at him, maybe a little bit banged up. We don't know if he's fully 100% healthy, that type of thing. And, yes, he's got the benefit of Saquon Barkley. But when you look at the Eagles, how much is this game, yes, it's about Saquon, but how much is this game about Jalen Hurts to you?
Listen, Hurts can't lose it for them either. I mean, that's what we'll come down to because I think he's a winner. I think he has some of that game manager stuff, which people have looked at as a sort of a negative connotation, but I want a winning quarterback, and game managers, they win. He doesn't really turn the football over, makes the big play. He's not afraid. He doesn't strike you as being afraid of the bright lights. He's cool. He's calm. And, again, I've seen him in college. Freshman year, he couldn't complete the easiest of passes. He's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL annually, single year right now. I know Mahomes has the 10-year deal. So he's come such a long way. I would not count him out. Again, he won't make the big mistake. He carries around, I guess you heard the screensaver on his phone is him walking through the Chiefs confetti after the Eagles were beaten by the Chiefs a couple of years ago. So that moment in time has stayed with him. I think he is determined. I think a big part of this is the coaching, and the coaching edge goes to Andy Reid over Nick Sirianni. I think Sirianni's kind of, for a guy who's in the Super Bowl, has had a tough year, which is hard to say, right? That usually doesn't work that way, but maybe it comes down to a coaching decision in the game.
Yeah. What is the matchup that you're watching? I think a lot of Chiefs fans are looking at Trey Smith versus Jalen Carter. Of course, you got left tackle, Joe Thuney making the slide out there. Philadelphia's defensive line is really, really solid. What's the matchup that you're really watching on Sunday?
And Is Carter going to be 100%? I mean, that's something to watch for too. You know, illness is going around. He's got the flu, missing a couple days this week. So, guy's a monster. I mean, a game changer. So that's something to watch for. I'll tell you what. Like, and we did this too on SportsCenter. Like, we get stuck in the weeds, right? You have 2 weeks to look through a game and analyze, and we're going for X factors and hidden things and this and that. I can't get away from the headline. Barkley is the headline to me. Can the Chiefs stop Saquon Barkley? And again, it's so obvious. I think we go past the obvious because we got 2 weeks. That remains, to me, the key to the game. And, you know, I know Chris Jones is going to go after the quarterback and everything, but I don't know, maybe they'd run right at him, right? Like, just, you know, test him on the run game too. And so he's a monster. He's a great player. So much fun to watch. So plays with such joy. But to me, that's the key. Can Spags come up with something to stop Barkley? The blitz is not going to stop Barkley. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true. And if you do go with the run blitzes, you better be there to tackle. Because if you don't, 60-yard touchdown.
And
that's what makes Saquon Barkley so darn good is when you get to him, if you don't lock him up, especially if you send a run blitz, you're toast. He buries you.
Some of it's like Derrick Henry, right? Don't let him give it a head start. Now, Henry's a much bigger back, but if he gets a running start, 2-3, you can't bring him down. Angles will be important as well. And, you know, Saquon just has such a burst. He's so likable, too, right? He's off the charts likable. How can you not root for Saquon Barkley? So,
who you got?
You got Kansas City really close, man.
Oh, if it's a one-score game, things have gone pretty well for the Kansas City Chiefs.
One score might be 1 point. All right.
Is there 0.1? Can they win by 0.1? Because maybe that's what's going to happen on Sunday. Steve, a pleasure. Thank you so much for dropping by.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, more of the Pulse when we come back.
You're tuned into the Pulse.